The rain poured steadily against the window, blurring the city lights into a kaleidoscope of colors. Emily sat curled up on the couch, her phone buzzing endlessly beside her. The invitation had arrived weeks ago, but she still hadn't mustered the courage to open it. She already knew what it was. Her ex-fiancé, the man who had broken her heart 2 years earlier, was finally getting married. The woman's name didn't matter, but the event did. Their mutual friends, her co-workers, even her family had been invited. And somehow, so had she. Her stomach twisted as she finally tore the envelope open. You were warmly invited to celebrate the wedding of Daniel and Claire. The words felt like knives, cutting her open all over again. She had spent months piecing herself back together after Daniel had left her, only to be reminded that he had moved on, while she was still single, still alone. Emily threw the card aside and buried her face in her hands. Why would I even go? She whispered to herself. But deep down, she knew the answer. Pride. If she didn't show up, everyone would think she was still broken. If she did, she would have to stand there and face the man who had once promised her forever. Her best friend, Jenna, called the next day. You can't go alone, Jenna said firmly. It'll crush you. You need a date. Someone who can stand beside you, make you look untouchable. A date? Who? Jenna. I don't even have anyone, Emily sighed. That's when Jenna smirked mischievously. I know someone. Remember Adam, the single dad from my office? He's kind, good-looking, and definitely not connected to your past. He owes me a favor. I can ask him. Emily almost laughed at the absurdity. You want me to show up with a stranger? Not a stranger. A shield, Jenna insisted. And trust me, you'll thank me later. 2 days later, Emily met Adam at a coffee shop. He was taller than she expected, with warm brown eyes and a calm, steady presence. His hair was slightly messy, as though he had rushed out the door, and his shirt sleeves were rolled up, revealing strong arms. But what struck Emily most was the way he smiled, genuine, without hesitation. So, Adam said, taking a sip of his coffee, I hear I'm supposed to be your fake date at a wedding. Sounds like a plot straight out of a movie. Emily felt her cheeks warm. Pretty much. I don't want to walk in there alone. I need someone to make me look like I've moved on too. Adam nodded thoughtfully. I get it. Believe me, I've had my share of awkward situations. If it helps, I'd be glad to go with you. No strings attached. Something about his sincerity made Emily relax. They talked for nearly an hour. About their work, about his 7-year-old daughter Lily, about the challenges of balancing life after heartbreak. By the end of the meeting, Emily felt a strange sense of relief. Maybe this crazy idea wasn't so bad after all. The day of the wedding arrived too quickly. Emily stood in front of her mirror, smoothing the silky navy blue dress she had chosen. Her hair fell in soft curls around her face, and her heart hammered against her chest. She told herself over and over that this was just an act, that Adam was just her date for one night. But the nerves refused to quiet down. When Adam arrived to pick her up, he looked devastatingly handsome in a charcoal gray suit. He handed her a small bouquet of white lilies. For you, he said simply. Thought they might calm your nerves. Emily blinked back unexpected tears. No man had done something that thoughtful for her in years. She managed a smile and whispered, thank you. The reception hall glowed with chandeliers, laughter, and music. Emily clutched Adam's arm as they entered, every pair of eyes turning toward them. She could feel the whispers ripple through the crowd. People who had once pitied her were now raising eyebrows, noticing the tall, confident man at her side. Then she saw him, Daniel, standing at the altar with his bride. He froze when his gaze landed on Emily. His jaw tightened, his smile faltered for the briefest second. And Emily felt a rush of unexpected satisfaction. She held her head high, leaning just a little closer to Adam. Throughout the evening, Adam played his part perfectly. He laughed at her jokes, kept her close during conversations, and even danced with her during the slow songs. But what surprised Emily most was how easy it felt, how natural his hand felt resting gently against her back, how his laughter seemed to warm the cold edges of her heart. At one point, during dinner, Adam leaned in and whispered, "You're doing great. I know this can't be easy." Emily met his eyes, and for a moment, the noise of the room faded away. "Thank you," she murmured. "For being here." But just when Emily thought she had everything under control, fate threw her a curveball. During a break in the music, Daniel approached their table. His bride was occupied with guests, and his expression was unreadable. "Emily," Daniel said stiffly. "You look, well." Emily forced a polite smile. "Congratulations, Daniel. You look happy." Daniel's eyes flickered toward Adam. "And this is?" Adam rose smoothly, extending his hand. "Adam, Emily's date." Daniel shook his hand, but there was a tightness in his posture, a flicker of something almost like regret in his gaze. He lingered longer than necessary before finally walking away. Emily's hands trembled under the table. Adam covered them gently with his own. "You don't owe him anything," he said softly. "Not even your nerves." Her eyes filled with tears, but this time not from pain. From gratitude. From the realization that maybe, just maybe, she was stronger than she had believed. Later that night, as the music softened and the crowd thinned, Adam led Emily outside to the quiet garden behind the hall. The cool air brushed against her skin, and the fountain trickled gently in the background. "You did it," Adam said with a proud smile. "You faced him, and you walked away with your head held high." Emily laughed shakily, wiping at her eyes. "I couldn't have done it without you. You've been more than I ever expected." Adam hesitated, then said, "Can I be honest? When Jenna asked me to do this, I thought it would just be one evening of pretending. But somewhere along the way, it stopped feeling like pretend." Her breath caught. "What do you mean?" Adam's gaze was steady, vulnerable. "I mean, you're easy to be around. You listen, you laugh at my terrible jokes, and for the first time in a long time, I feel like I don't have to try so hard to be enough. You make me feel like myself again." Emily's heart pounded in her chest. She had expected this night to break her, to reopen old wounds. Instead, it was stitching her back together in ways she hadn't thought possible. She stepped closer, her voice barely above a whisper. "It didn't feel like pretending for me either." For a long moment, they stood there, the silence thick with unspoken emotions. Then, slowly, Adam reached for her hand. She let him, and in that quiet garden, under the soft glow of the lights, Emily felt something she hadn't in years: hope. Weeks passed after the wedding, and what had begun as a favor slowly blossomed into something real. Adam introduced her to Lily, his sweet, bubbly daughter who instantly clung to Emily as though she had been part of their lives forever. Emily found herself laughing again, dreaming again, believing again. One evening, as she read a bedtime story to Lily, Emily glanced up and found Adam watching from the doorway, his eyes filled with something unspoken but unmistakable. When Lily drifted to sleep, Adam pulled Emily into his arms. "You know," he whispered, "sometimes life takes away people we think are forever, only to replace them with the ones who were meant to stay all along." Tears filled Emily's eyes, but they weren't from sadness this time. They were from joy, because she realized that losing Daniel had not been the end of her story, it had been the beginning of a better one. And in the arms of a single dad who had walked into her life when she least expected it, she finally understood that sometimes the heartbreaks we think will destroy us are the very things that lead us to the love we truly deserve.